I knew something was terribly wrong the second I stepped out of my truck and heard my electric meter screaming like a jet engine. I hadn't turned on a single light, hadn't even opened the door yet, but my cabin, my peaceful mountain escape, was glowing like a damn Christmas tree. And when I followed that bright orange extension cord snaking off my porch into the woods, Karen came storming out like she owned the entire Smoky Mountains. 5 minutes later, she was calling the cops on me, saying I was stealing electricity from her. And that was only the beginning of the most insane week of my life. I bought that cabin because I needed quiet. Real quiet. The kind you can only find where the air tastes like pine and the nearest neighbor is far enough away that you forget humans exist. I'd spent years stuck in the city deadlines, traffic noise, and I finally said, screw it. I found this 5-acre patch of forest with a rustic log cabin sitting right between two ridges, signed the papers before the realtor finished his sentence, and every weekend I drove up with tools rattling in the back seat like music. I'm an engineer, so the first thing I did was overhaul the electrical system. New meter, new breaker box, new wiring. Everything clean, everything efficient, everything safe. Which is why when the electric bills started climbing, even though I was barely staying there, I knew something didn't add up. At first I thought maybe I'd left a heater running. Maybe the fridge was drawing more power. Maybe I misread the numbers. But month after month the bills kept rising, and on the day this story begins, that suspicion finally punched me in the chest. I stepped out of my truck, closed the door, and froze. Because the meter wasn't spinning, it was whining, roaring, like it was seconds away from liftoff. I walked around the cabin, checking every window, checking the breaker box, checking the outlets. Nothing on. Everything silent. Then I saw it. A path of flattened pine needles leading into the trees. Fresh footprints. And that bright orange extension cord running across my porch like a neon vein. I followed it, and out of nowhere she appeared. Mid-40s, frizzy blonde hair, oversized sunglasses, marching toward me like she was the sheriff of the mountains. "What are you doing?" she snapped, like I was the one trespassing. "I should ask you the same thing I said. That's my outlet. You're stealing electricity." She folded her arms. "This is a mountain community. We share resources." "No," I said, "we don't. Unplug it, now." She shook her head like a toddler refusing broccoli. "I've been using it for weeks. My power got cut off. You don't even live here full-time. You won't miss it." I was stunned, just stunned by the audacity dripping out of this woman. I told her I was calling the police. And what did she do? She beat me to it. She grabbed her phone and screamed, "911. I'm being attacked. He's trying to stop me from using community electricity." He chased me through the woods. I looked around, half expecting to see hidden cameras and a reality show crew. But no, this was just Karen being Karen. When the police cruiser finally climbed up my driveway, she ran to them like she was auditioning for a drama award. "That's him," she shrieked. "Arrest him." The officers separated us. I pointed to my meter still spinning like a roulette wheel. I pointed to the cord. I pointed to the fact that all my breakers were off. They followed the cord through the woods, down a slope behind a patch of bushes, straight into her living room window. Inside, she had a mini fridge, a space heater, glowing red lamps, a TV, and a freaking AC unit duct taped to the wall. All of it running off my outlet. The officers looked at each other, and you could see at that moment where they realized the loudest person was also the guilty one. They photographed everything. Asked for her lease agreement proving she owned my cabin. She said it was at home. Asked for permission from me. She didn't have it. Asked why she never asked her neighbors. She said they wouldn't understand. They cuffed her. She kicked. She screamed. She yelled about calling the mayor. And as they drove her away, her voice echoed through the mountains like some deranged wildlife call fading into the distance. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. Not even close. After the police left, the silence felt heavier. Not peaceful, but watchful. I cut her cord, replaced the outdoor outlet with a locking box, and sat on my porch drinking coffee, trying to reclaim even a sliver of calm. That's when an older man with a cane walked up the trail. Randall. Weathered skin, gray beard, eyes sharp like he saw everything without trying. "Saw the police up here," he said. I told him the whole story. He nodded slowly like something clicked. "Karen's been poking around other cabins. Folks complained about flickering lights, messed up outlets. She's always been trouble. Pretend she runs some kind of mountain council that doesn't exist. Great. So this wasn't a one-time thing. Night fell fast. I locked everything, doors, windows, breaker panel, even though I'd never needed to before. Around midnight, every rustle sounded like footsteps. I hated feeling paranoid, but the feeling wouldn't leave. The next morning I checked my trail camera, and my blood turned to ice. At 2:17 a.m., a tall figure stood at the tree line watching my cabin for nearly 3 minutes. Shoulders broad, hood up, silent, still. Not Karen, her brother Joey. I'd heard about him. Loud, quick temper, not the brightest bulb in the box. Seeing him on that footage, I can't explain it. Fear wasn't the word. It was more like a cold, sharp awareness, like a wire pulled tight inside my chest. I called the sheriff's office immediately. Detective Harris picked up calm, steady, the kind of voice that makes you feel like he's seen enough insanity to handle yours easily. I sent him the footage. He sighed like he'd been expecting this escalation. Document everything he said. Don't engage unless necessary. Easy advice to give. Hard advice to live. By afternoon, I drove down to town for supplies. More cameras, locks, lights, the whole paranoia package. I told myself I was being cautious, not scared. But even then, a small part of me wondered, am I overreacting? Am I turning into the crazy one here? On the way back, the sky turned heavy rain clouds sagging low. When I turned into my driveway, my heart sank. A truck I didn't recognize sat halfway up the hill. Muddy, battered, mismatched doors. Joey's truck. I got out, called toward the woods. Nothing. He wasn't in the truck. He wasn't on the porch. I walked behind the cabin and found something that made every muscle in my body tense. My breaker box was pried open. Wires pulled. Someone had tried to sabotage my electrical system. Not to steal power. To hurt something. To cause damage. Maybe start a fire. And then through the rain, he stepped out of the trees. Joey. He looked like a storm in human form. Jaw-clenched fists, tight boots thudding through the mud as he marched straight toward me. You had my sister arrested, he growled. She had herself arrested, I said. She was stealing. Shut your mouth, he barked. You embarrassed her. You humiliated her. You think you own this mountain. I kept my voice steady. You need to leave. No, he said, stepping closer. You're going to drop the charges. You're going to tell the sheriff you made a mistake. I pulled out my phone and hit record. He stiffened. What the hell are you doing? Documenting, I said. You're threatening me on my property. I ain't threatening. You tampered with my breaker box. The sheriff has photos. The camera caught you last night. Joey, you need to walk away. He blinked, water dripping from his hat brim. Rage flickered into confusion, then back to rage. And right before he exploded again, a branch snapped behind him. Randall stepped out of the woods leaning on his cane like a referee walking onto a battlefield. Well, he said, seems like trouble showed up early today. Stay out of this, Joey snarled. No, Randall said, voice flat. I won't. You're defending him, Joey demanded. I'm defending the truth, Randall said. And the sheriff already knows you're involved. You're making it worse. Joey's fists flexed. I swear his whole body vibrated with frustration. Then he spat into the dirt. This isn't over, he muttered, storming back to his truck. The moment his engine faded down the mountain, the cabin felt exhausted. Not peaceful, just worn out. Randall looked at me. She's not done, he warned. People like her, they twist stories. She's been calling other neighbors. He was right. Because the next morning a woman named Anna, one of the new cabin owners, walked up my porch in a rain jacket looking nervous. I'm sorry to bother you, she said. Karen came to our place. She said you tried to electrocute her, that you're dangerous, that they're forming a complaint group. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I explained everything, every detail. When I finished, anger flashed across her face. She lied to us, she said. We'll support you. We'll tell the others. And for the first time in days, I didn't feel alone. But peace didn't last. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. A photo of me, standing on my own porch. Taken from the woods. Caption: You should have minded your business. That cold wire inside my chest snapped tight again. But this time, something changed. I wasn't scared. I was angry. And anger, when you're tired enough, turns into clarity. I sent the photo to Detective Harris with a single line, "They're stalking my property." Then I grabbed my tools, installed more cameras, more locks, more lights. I covered every angle, every trail, every path Karen used. That night it paid off. Motion alert, back trail. I looked at the live feed. Karen, Joey, together, dragging another extension cord, whispering, planning. They never saw the sheriff's SUV roll up behind them. Harris stepped out, flashlight raised. Don't move. Karen froze, eyes wide. Joey tried to run. Officers tackled him easily. It's hard to sprint uphill when you're tangled in your own stolen cord. And just like that, everything unraveled. Photos, video, the previous arrest, the stalking, the tampering, the sabotage. Karen tried one last time to play victim. He's lying. He rigged the power to hurt me. But for once, nobody believed her. They cuffed her. Again, cuffed Joey. Harder. And as they were led away down the mountain road, the woods finally went silent. Not the stressful silence I'd been hearing all week. Real silence. The kind I moved here for. The cruiser's taillights disappeared, rain dripping from the trees like the mountain was exhaling. I stood on my porch, hands in my pockets, watching the darkness settle. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just breathed. Because up here, peace isn't something you find. It's something you defend. And I defended it. Even when it meant standing up to a Karen, a brother, and the whole damn mountain. I learned something out here, something simple. When someone crosses a line onto your land, you either let them claim it or you take it back.